I don't fucking care. It be what it is. Yo, what up, what up, what up? Welcome back to Pinoy News, man. Listen, it's Saturday night, all right? And it's International Men's Day, right? So we're going to do the fucking man show tonight. But I'll be honest with you, you know what I'm saying? I ain't got no titties to show you. I ain't got no motherfucking bitches' butts. You know what I mean? All I got is this motherfucking, I got a 4-pack of motherfucking Budweiser and my boy Halbert. What's going on, my brother? How the hell you doing?
Jay chillin'. Not much to discuss for today. Shout out men across the nation. Very important. It's am I still in the Discord? No, I'm not. It's very important that men have a voice and that men receive both mental health and awareness in their struggles, day-to-day life, as well as family.
Yeah, I say fuck, yo. I say fuck mental health and mental wellness, right? Real shit. Yo, go burn things, drop out of school, and get high, son. Legit. Like, yo, fuck all that garbage and quit being a bitch. You know what I mean? Yo, be violent and enjoy yourself. Like, yo, get some goddamn pussy and go outside and touch grass. Stop playing video games and go touch grass.
No more video. No more playing RuneScape for 13 hours, young men. Rambo.
Yo.
No more playing RuneScape. You're 17. You gotta go.
I've never played RuneScape myself.
You have to go play RuneScape.
Yo, stop playing fucking Minecraft and playing with Legos and shit.
I've never played Minecraft. Why is my camera's reversed and it's bothering me?
Man, I don't know why the fuck, man. Listen, does it really matter which way your hairline's fucked up? You know what I mean?
Because when I move my head, it goes the other way. It's inverted.
Why is your hairline all crooked as shit, bro?
Because I don't brush my hair, and I'm like growing that shit out, kind of. It don't know what I want to do.
You literally just got a fucking haircut.
Yeah, I ain't cut it all the way down. I just cut it so it looks a little cleaner than it did before.
Man, listen, what did you do? You put a bowl on top of your head and just took the clippers to it?
Nah, just kind of shaved up the back. Cut a little bit of the front off to my sideburns.
Now, I feel like what you did was you put a bowl over top of your head and motherfucking just trimmed your best you could. Like, it looks you got an Amish haircut right now, bro.
A little more straight type shit.
Yeah, you look like the most Amish Puerto Rican ever.
That's horrendous. Okay. How many people watching this shit, Tom?
Yo, right now, like 3, but like you like Jebediah Juan Pablo and shit.
Okay, Jebediah Corleone.
Violate him like that. He's 17. He's gonna be doing cool things. This is live to the public, so I can't say what I want to say. But it's out. It's important for you to go out there and experience the world. Go make some money doing things that I'm not comfortable saying live.
Go make some fucking money and shit. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, legitimately, get out and make some goddamn money.
I was fucking applying for jobs today.
Yo, look, seriously, no one's gonna hire you looking like a Puerto Rican Amish person.
And no,
I didn't have a picture of it. That's what you do, because when you apply online, they don't see you.
Yo, real shit, bro. Like, yo, look, man, you look like your fucking name is like Jebediah Garcia. All right, I'll be honest with you right now, man.
Jebediah Rodriguez.
You're 17, right?
Yeah.
What state are you in?
Damn, you're federal as fuck. You already know what state I'm in.
About I don't even know what state you're in. But like,
he's in Alabama.
You're in Alabama, I bet. Check your state, because most states have to, like, I don't know if it's federal or not, but like a lot of these states are so fucked that they start if you're under the age of like 18 or some shit, then they have to jump through like a million hoops just to get you hired, which they're not willing to do. Like they're so against kids your age working.
Oh no, I've already had like 5 different jobs. I'm good.
All right.
Yo, Kerr, man, tell me this motherfucker don't look like Jebediah Garcia right now.
That's fucking off.
I don't even know who that is.
Yo, that's Rambo right there, man.
Yeah, I know it's Rambo, but I'm saying I don't know who Jebediah Garcia is.
Yo, he looks like an Amish Puerto Rican. That's what I'm saying.
Rambo.
I always look like something. What Tom said? I look like a fucking Sicilian Kurd earlier.
Yo, I said you look like a Sicilian fucking Iraqi.
This
Like you
young
about to go
man has
blow
a
up a
fucking Halo
motherfucking like.
poster. You gotta take that off. You gotta,
You look like you about to carry a grenade into like a fucking U.S. embassy.
My bomb vest is full of sauce.
Ram, I'm not gonna lie, bro. You're Mexican. You're not white.
Nah, my bomb vest is full of Sunday sauce. I got like it's gonna be all red.
You look like you got like the hottest tacos on like the fucking in Lancaster.
What'd you say?
No way you're white, Rambo.
I am.
You're
Both
white,
my people said they're fucking on DNA. I'm pretty white.
Yo, Rambo, you look like you got the hottest tacos in all of Lancaster County, bro. Like I'm gonna keep it 100 with
I don't
you.
know what Lancaster County is.
Yo, Lancaster County's where all the Amish people's at. It's the Amish paradise.
So that's what he was rapping about.
Living in an Amish paradise. Rambo's been living most his life cooking tacos in Amish paradise. But yo, it's International Men's Day, man. Fucking so I figured we come out here and talk about some men shit and the things that like the reasons why it is that men are not like being men anymore. Why all these dudes is over here trying to be broads and cutting their penises off and committing suicide. And shooting up heroin and shooting themselves in the leg with their own gun. Right. I figured we come out here and have these conversations and shit, right? Yo, you're Cheddar Bob right now, all right? We're gonna call you Cheddar Bob at the moment, all right?
I did not shoot myself. Somebody else shot me. That was a way different circumstance.
All right, Cheddar Bob.
Yo, calm down there, Cheddar Bob. Right. All right. So, yo, shut up, Cheddar Bob. Right. So, like, yo, we're over here. We're over here. I was trying to discuss these type of like men problems and men things. You know what I'm saying? Like the shit that it takes to motherfucking be a man. I'm kind of upset. You know what I'm saying? Motherfucking that like my boy Mountain is not out here right now because Mountain would be the perfect dude to have a conversation with about the motherfucking like men shit because like yo he's like 50 something and he got divorced, raped, and decided that he was gonna go monk and just never talk to another woman again, right? Which I feel like that's a terrible way to go. You know what I mean?
Absolutely not. What you miss out on drama and you miss out on a bunch of bullshit that you don't need in your life. Wow.
I'm saying though, man, listen, but you're not getting no pussy. You know what I'm saying? So that's a bit of a problem.
Hey, if my beard is patchy now, is it gonna be patchy forever? Or is it gonna fix itself?
Nah, I don't know, man. We don't know. We don't know how you're gonna turn out. All right, it could end up being like
that.
You're
already fucked. You're already fucked, dude.
Because like this needs to go.
You need to go pick up a sport, bro.
Even I got more than that, man.
Yeah, that's all I got, so don't feel bad. You know what I'm saying?
No, like it grows a lot more, but that patch doesn't grow.
But I think that women across the nation have it on easy mode in a lot of different aspects. You know what I mean? It's not as hard for them to get through because they have all of these different support systems. Which I'm not saying are bad, but I'm saying it's infinitely harder, I guess, for a man to raise a single family.
Yeah, like, hey, where the fuck is our support?
Yeah. It's
well, dudes, motherfucking basic authority isn't respected anymore, right? You know what I mean? Because like the basic premise of our society is that we've created a goddamn like fucking priesthood of like, experts. Right. In the end of the day, right. Where like, it's like trust scientists, trust like social workers, trust the government. But like a common man is considered a fucking imbecile. Right. From years and years of, Al Bundy and Homer Simpson and, like all these commercials where like a guy is trying to put together an IKEA cabinet and gets fucking like smashed underneath of it and has to go to the hospital and shit. That's how we view men in our society. And that's not true. Like most men are fucking real competent. And like, but we're really getting to the point where like men are absolutely not competent. Like Halbert, were you there the other day when I was talking to that guy who like fucking was talking about how like he said if his car broke down he'd call Geico?
There's absolutely no way. There's no way somebody said that.
Yeah, I swear to God, he said I'll call Geico if my car breaks down. Right, I'm not going to learn how to fix nothing.
Okay, well,
film boy at his finest.
Yeah, people like that. There's a really good book. It's called The Four Turnings of Society, and it's the good men create good times kind of idea, and there's a very large scale theory that we're actually in the fourth turning, where good times created soft men. So soft men are going to create bad times. So I think we're heading towards, or not already in, these extremely bad and rough times that are detrimental to your society and community.
Yeah, I feel like if we stop letting the LGBTQ teachers teach in elementary schools, then we would probably have like way less of a problem.
Well, like the problem is like so the system is relying upon having like interchangeable drones to put in the motherfucking like into the corporate offices and shit, right? And in order to have that, they have to have motherfucking like LGBTQ fucking teachers to teach kids that everything is acceptable. You know what I mean? Because the moment you have anything that like a dude goes like, well, this sounds retarded, you know what I mean? Like fucking the whole system collapses. That's why like they fight against racism and transphobia and bigotry and fucking homophobia and fucking like all the other nonsense, right? Is because of the fact that like they don't want you to have a culture or have you have anything that you stand for because you can't have that in a corporate office. You know what I mean? It makes their lives harder. And that's what these fucking systems are really built for. They're built to like, you know what I mean, like allow you to function inside of society. And our society is built off the premise of, everything's cool. Everybody's allowed to be what they're going to be. You know what I mean? As long as like you just go buy their cheap plastic shit and their high value add motherfucking, you know what I mean, $12 Starbucks lattes and shit. You know what I mean? That's what that is. You know what I mean? So you can't not have teachers be LGBTQ, you know what I mean, getting high with the students. You know what I mean?
I would agree with that. I think the main issue with that is actually we're living in like hell world, endgame capitalist, clown circus, where as long as people have bread and circus and they're content. But I think if you were an isolationist, or almost like a tribal community, you would be much much happier. I mean, my people were. That's how we survived for thousands and thousands and thousands of years.
Who are your people, Howard?
But, so Navajo and some other Sioux City tribes.
Oh,
So
Yeah, Albert is Pocahontas and shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's like the new Fire Out.
Except he's an actual Native American and Fire Out's just a Jew.
Yeah, Fire Owls are red haired, like Cherokee, and it's just like, bro, what? Oh my god, this fucking kid. But yeah, I mean, I think half of, maybe even 2/3 of the detrimental society hell world that we're living in is caused by extreme endgame capitalism. I mean, you're entering a period in your life where, at least my generation, so like Kura, Rambo, we're going to be renting everything for the rest of our fucking lives.
Buying houses is almost completely obsolete.
You're going to be renting everything. You're going to rent the food you own.
Honestly, you know whose fault that is?
You are fucked.
Tom's
That's
generation.
the boomer's fault.
Yeah, that's the boomer's fault. Right. Look here, bro. All right. I'll be honest with you. My generation is fucked. All right. My generation started off with 9/11. Right. Like, when we became adults, 9/11 happened, the 2008 financial crisis happened, and then COVID happened. We have absolutely no chance of us being successful. All right. It's never going to happen. All right. We are as fucked, if not more fucked than your generation is.
But you guys enjoyed the fucking.
No. We had no. There was nothing we could do. The boomers have been in power since like we were kids and shit. You know what I mean?
Well, they came out of high school during the 2008 housing crisis. So like, what? Like you're telling me you're gonna get a house in like 2013?
Is being complicit not aiding a problem?
Well, what did you want them to do? Well, like,
I don't fucking know. Not fuck us? That'd be nice.
They didn't fuck us. They were busy renting like a $1,300 apartment and reading fucking Harry Potter books. That's what his generation was busy doing. So I guess if you want to say that like the millennial generation was particularly lazy, I would agree with you, but I think it's also part of it. or like part of that would be they didn't know what the fuck was happening, because like I would eat, like if I were to put my shoes or put myself in their shoes, like I wouldn't expect like my grandparents or parents to be like reverse mortgaging their home and I'm like on the streets. You know, that's not something I would just randomly expect. So that's not something you should expect.
Yeah, you got to remember, I came up when like the boomers were running things, right? You know what I mean? And like literally, like when I was a kid, they were shipping the jobs off of my parents. You know
I
what I'm
came up
saying?
when the boomers were running.
Yeah, again, the boomers have been running things since the fucking 70s, and they're still running shit today. You know what I mean? Like, yo, we have not had a chance. Like, just now we're starting to get people in the goddamn Congress and in like fucking places of power. The millennials are just now having a chance, and we're going to try and fix some of this. Well, we again, like, yo, your generation went out and bought fucking masks and like voted for Democrats, right? When like, yo, we were standing here going like, yo, fuck the boomers because like, yo, they're fucking pieces of shit. We all knew they were pieces of shit, but y'all fucking went along with it. You know what I mean?
I completely agree with them. I think my generation in particular had we had such a running start, and we threw it all away for.
I don't
nothing.
know. If I could take a guess, I feel like Democrats are a lot younger than Republicans in Congress. I could be very wrong.
Nah, the Republicans are actually getting real young. You know what I mean? Like a lot of the new Republicans that are coming up are younger guys. You know what I mean?
I'm
like
not well versed in New Republicans, to be honest.
Well, the next generation is going to be like very, very, very fucking divided. I can cuss on here, right?
You can say pretty much anything you want to say as long as like, you know what I mean? Trying to think. No pedophilia, no doxing. That's the only two rules in my neck of the woods.
But like you're going to have these super communists like fighting this war with like alt-right like fascists and like terrorists who like
and libertarians
and libertarians, sure, yeah. I'm not saying which side is better necessarily, but
not libertarian.
You're going to the next what the point is that the next generation is going to be so unbelievably radicalized that it will create the largest divide that we have ever seen in this country.
Like the fulfillment of our generation, or like the one after
they're called the Alpha generation. They will. I'm actually really nervous when they start.
It's cool because I might not be around to see it, and I'd love to not see it.
It's going to be really fucking spooky. Canu, I think we're personally headed towards an economic and political collapse. Yeah, no, we absolutely are.
Wait, so when does Alpha generation start?
God, I think it's like fucking 2007.
Shit.
Yeah, Canu, I completely agree with you. I think we are headed towards an economic and political collapse. I think you need to. Oh man, I don't want.
Yo, here goes my boy Mountain.
What up?
Man, listen, yo, it's International Men's Day, so I figured I'd do a man show.
Hell yeah. Well, I guess a watered down version of the original, because Jimmy Kimmel turned into total homo. You know what I'm saying?
Well, there ain't no titties, ain't no. Yeah, I'm drinking beer, but there ain't no titties. You know what I'm saying? There ain't no goddamn like fucking nonsense. I figured we do, you know what I mean, like an actual man show. My boy Halbert here is like, you know, he's a Pocahonky, but he's dumb smart. And you know what I mean, Kura's a fucking ROTC cadet. And motherfucking Rambo is he's an Amish Mexican, right? So he got the hottest tacos in all of Lancaster County. You know what I mean? So we got a good spread here tonight. You know what I mean?
Right on.
Out of everything, I'm an Amish Mexican.
So
There's no heaven for you, Tom.
So you got like the homegrown corn, you roll it in the mayo and then in the Parmesan cheese.
Throw two races together every day and then call me them.
Yo, Rambo's an Amish motherfucking Middle Easterner, right? You know what I mean? Like he's a Quaker.
You said I was a Sicilian Iraqi.
Nah. Yo, he's a Quaker Pakistani who like his grenade, you know what I mean, is like really old school. You know what I mean? So like it's just like it's like a fucking cow grease, you know what I mean, with like a fuse in it and shit. And he's running into like a U.S. embassy in goddamn fucking Baghdad. You know what I mean? He's that type of dude he is. You know what I mean? At the end of the day.
All right, here's what I got to say about the man thing, right? Men adapt. And right now, the adaptation process is against the given knowledge of about 3 or 4 generations past. That was somewhat adaptive, but was somewhat modeled off of thousands of years of passed down knowledge, because shit radically changed. Right? Did you see that thing about the Roman writing a letter to some girl? Is like, she gives it up. She's giving her pussy up to everybody except Romans.
Yeah.
Like this nature of women thing has been going on forever, and there's all sorts of matriarchies. Like India is a matriarchy. I have an Indian friend who knows a lot about it. And he's like, yeah, this is what happens when you go down this path.
If you don't mind me asking, can you elaborate on what do you mean by adaptative generational?
Well, sure. You know, you're talking about like, oh, it's this guy's fault, it's that guy's fault, it's this generation's fault. Like this, all of that talk about politics and, you know, doing this and doing that, it's all still within the system. It's still the system's greatest trick.
Absolutely.
And I highly recommend reading that several times, like for a minute, and just trying to see things
You're welcome.
through
You're welcome, by the way.
your Uncle Ted lens.
You're welcome. You're welcome, my brother. And Ryoko, you know what I'm saying? Fucking my thoughts on we don't think we'll make it to 2024. Again, like I'll be honest with you, TFM has been wrong like a lot. All right, I'm gonna keep this 100%. All right, and I like TFM. That's my boy, right? But he's been wrong about a lot of shit, and I think he's wrong about this too. I 100% think we'll make it to 2024, right? Because of the fact that like there isn't many more shocks in the system left, right, for like them to be able to like really collapse shit, right? Like there's nothing coming. I mean, next year might be bad. I don't know, like with the fertilizer shortage that's popping off and like the amount of like crops that aren't gonna like happen, and the amount of like this winter is gonna be real hard for a lot of people. I ran into a couple of favorable set of circumstances the past couple of weeks, and I got some serious amounts of money in my pocket at this point. So I'm gonna make it. You know what I mean? But I just don't know what everybody else is gonna do. You know what I mean? I don't think civil war is going to happen, though, because in order for civil war to happen, it's what TFM used to say, the pain of inaction has to be heavier than the pain of action. And Americans are fat, lazy fucks. We can just keep it in the fuck.
I just need us to get to 2027.
You get to 2027?
Yeah, so shit pops off. All that
If we make it past the boomer generation we have right now, I feel there probably be a civil war. I feel like our generation will be solved for that.
Oh, I 100% agree with you. God, I didn't mute. I'm sorry.
I couldn't really hear what you said because of the echo.
Yeah, we got some repeating echoing going on.
Yeah, it's my fault. I'm sorry. I forgot to mute out.
No, you're good. You're good, Tom.
Oh, I said, I feel like once this boomer generation we have right now, once they all die, I don't think a civil war will happen in our generation because I feel like we're too soft as a whole for that even to happen.
So when I was making my comments, I was thinking specifically to what you're saying about endgame capitalism being the end of all things. Like the fact that we're getting reduced to nothing within our own system, that's not really the goal of the system. That's the goal of individuals who are participants and practicers and they own the shit. That's more or less a consequence of people not being involved to their full potential within the system as active candidates that shape shit.
I would agree with you, but I think that a capitalistic society inherently it just inherently creates that kind of role for somebody to fill. I don't think it's. I think it's greater than just saying it's an individual group or an individual person who's doing all of this. I think it's the system itself. That's because if somebody started to hoard all of the corn in Native American societies, it would be killed. That's how things would always develop through. There was trading, but there was no currency.
Well, that would be a flaw. That would be a flaw in the way shit's structured. People would get together and be like, all right, this isn't working out. So the system, that's a cynical, although realistic view, but the flaw is human nature, not the system itself. It's more or less like this, right? If you say end game capitalism is everything sucks and is corrupt and everybody dies and it all sucks. No. End game capitalism, taken where like everyone was good natured, right, is that everybody gets an affordable best version of everything. Right? There's always R&D perfecting shit, and you can afford it. And that would be like your Star Trek outcome, where everybody pulls together in the same direction and everything's the best outcome. The meritocracy, all that stuff. That would really be...
I have no faith that that's going to happen.
No, me neither, because people aren't like that. People are
I was about to say, like,
lazy and fucked up. So it's not a flaw in capitalism. It's a flaw in human nature.
Well, the flaw in capitalism because it allows this to happen. It opens itself up for human nature to fuck everything.
Well, the answer to that in the other direction, as far as I can see, is fascism, and people don't tolerate that.
Well, no. People, no. See, here's the thing. People will tolerate fascism, right?
People don't have the chance to not tolerate it.
Well, no. The problem. Well, no. Here's the problem, right? The problem comes down to that other countries who aren't fascist won't tolerate that shit. That's the problem in the end of the day, right? Like, if you would have just like let Italy be fascist, it would have been fascist forever. You know what I mean? Like, that's like the same party. Like literally back in the day that like we're fascists are still there today. You know what I mean?
So why are these countries not gonna allow other countries to be fascist?
Well, because you got to sell goods to them, right? And they got to sell goods to you. So therefore, like the elites of these countries, like they want to be able to do business. And you can't do business if the people are dictating how the business goes. It's that simple.
Yep. I would completely agree. I think
I have no argument.
Ryoko, it's Tom echoing.
Yo, it's me echoing. I apologize.
But yeah, I mean, I think I got to be very careful, very, very, very careful with what I say on a live stream. But I think, yeah, I would agree. I'm just gonna agree with Tom on that. I'm not gonna elaborate any further. Tom, I think that's a very well said statement.
Yeah, like again, like the reason why, like I don't know if you heard Vladimir Putin's speeches and shit, right? Where like Vladimir Putin, he sat here and he said, hey, look, you know what I mean, like all you fucking oligarchs in this country who have, you know what I mean, like fucking, you know what I mean, different sexual proclivities and like, you know what I mean, like you have houses in the motherfucking French Riviera and all that shit, right? You know, like you can go ahead and have all these things, right? But you need to remember you're Russian first, right? And that's the problem. It's like they don't want to be like tied to, you know what I mean, that country and those people and your community and your family and your heritage and all the things that go with it at the end of the day. Right. And that's really what it comes down to is the moment you force individuals to sit here and like actually serve like the people who they fucking live around, this whole thing collapses. You know what I mean? Because these people are international businessmen. They're fucking, you know what I mean? They're multinational. They're not, you know what I mean, you know, fucking, they're not tied to a country as a whole. And that's what that is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think being a nationalist and isolationist is...
you can talk about the Jews if you want. I don't care, bro. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's for public image. I don't...
So would the answer to be to wage war against corporate America?
No, against its governance. Yep. I think the problem is more or less the revolving door. Like in its purest form, you have people in charge of a company, and their job is to create something that is acceptable to the market based on value. Right. So you work for your dollars, you vote with your dollars, and you say, this company produces the best goods. I'm going to reward them with my business. And then you have government saying, okay, well, we're going to rake back some of that in the form of, you know, your payroll tax and your corporate tax and all that to pay for ourselves to ensure that we regulate you. So you're not fucking with the rules. You're not like China does, like
not. Yo, that's not it. That's just not it.
Well, hold on.
Like, yo, that's not it. Yo, that's not it. That's not it at all. Like, yo, what it is you need to fight to, like, say your wife and your children are your property. That's the fucking problem. Is that, like, yo, your wife and your children are supposed to be your property. Your community is your community's. It doesn't belong to the government. It doesn't belong to a corporation. It doesn't belong to an incorporated corporation. It doesn't belong to a state. It belongs to y'all. And that's what you need to fight for. It's not about fighting against something. It's fighting for something. And that's the problem that we're not looking at in the end of the day.
So what would the regulation on child abuse be, Tom?
There shouldn't be any regulation on child abuse.
That's ludicrous.
See, that's the fucking problem. Right? The problem is you don't trust the common man.
I don't.
Well, this is the issue. This is the issue in the end of the day.
You need to have trust in your community. The reason I don't agree with Mountain that the fact that that it's not the system at fault. The system will consistently make these roles and these ivory tower executive chairs, no matter what the system is. These people, if your fix to this system is just taking down the power whenever it arises, you're going to have you're going to be in a civil war with your own people constantly, and you're never going to get anywhere. Having trust. Having trust and faith in your own communities is inherently what you need, and the only way your own society is going to improve.
That's not what I'm saying.
Yo, hang on, man. I got to address a couple things in the chat. First off, this one here. No, I did not. Please tag me in my Discord. You know what I'm saying, or send it to me on Twitter so I can watch it. You know the deal, man. I always support my motherfucking fam out there. Secondly, on top of that, if you're looking to invest your motherfucking 401k right now, I have no idea. Legit. Everybody's been asking me, what do you want to invest in? I have no clue at this point. Like, you're fucked at the moment. You know what I mean?
I invested in collectibles. It's going to sound really gay, but it's like Magic cards, Pokemon cards, baseball cards, because they have a secondary market that is relatively untouchable. Because a lot of
Magic cards almost never go down in price.
Yeah, a lot of these major corporations either signed or verbally agreed to never reprint a specific copy like that. So if you have a specific copy that is extremely valuable, then it essentially creates its own market for each and every individual card or collectible or whatever you go into.
Gold and silver within our crystal balls. No one knows the future.
Yeah, that's also true. No one. You can't say the.
Got a little box full of cardboard fucking cards, and they're worth like fucking few dollars a piece. Like 50 cents.
I mean, yo, look. Right now, I'll be honest with you. Right, there's certain cars that I know are going to be valuable later on. 2000 Chevy Tahoes are going to be a classic. Right, as a whole.
Yeah. Cards.
No. I'm saying, like, you're looking for investments. You know what I mean? Like, later on. You know what I mean? Like, I'm usually pretty good about the car things. Like, I had an El Camino long before they were popular and shit. Right? Like, fucking, I knew that, like, the old 442 was going to pull value. The Buick GNX was going to pull value. Right? There's lots of cars that are, like, you know what I mean? Like, back in the day that are going to, like, pull old value and gain in value. So I'm 04, anything from 2000 to 2006 Chevy Tahoes are all going to hold their value very well. That's something I'd invest in. I'm trying to, like, because God, man, I don't know of any, like, solid investment because everything's going to take a shit here over the next year. You know what I'm saying? I think you should have silver on hand, but absolutely. I'll be real, like, they're always going to be able to depress the price of silver. They literally just got the power, and I did a video about this a while back. They got the power to print out 10,000 ounce fucking silver fucking certificates.
Investing.
Yo,
guns are gonna get more expensive.
The guns are gonna get more expensive. They've been saying that for 3 years. But silver is the reason it'll never necessarily drop a whole lot is because the suits in these mega corporations are invested in precious metals, and we've seen this time and time again. whether it be diamonds, gems, gold, silver, etc. These people are invested in it, so it's in their best interest to not flood the entire industry. Like diamonds are
well, no. All right, all right. So here's the problem with silver, right? So like the silver is literally traded internationally, right? And it's the paper market is worth 800 times the actual market of silver, right? That's why like there's a big disconnect right now. Like the spot price of silver is $19 an ounce, but you can't buy you can't buy an ounce of silver for under $35, right? So like there's like a double the disparity of like what it's actually fucking worth. But again, like you know, what I mean, like you're gonna get taken advantage of by anybody who you trade your silver into, right? I have a couple pounds of silver. You know, what I mean, just because like I have a couple pounds of silver in case shit hits the fan, I want to be able to buy food or ammo or like get passage. That's really the big thing that I wanted to be able to go like, hey, look, here's 2 ounces of silver. Let me pass by. That's why I have silver. It's not because like I think it's a good investment. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, like, barring societal collapse, just something that'll keep up value. Books, right? First edition.
No, books do not keep value.
Yes, you can get a book for like $15 first edition, like a Stephen King book, and once he dies, which he's about to die, he's old as fuck, all them shit's finna jack up in price.
I mean, sure, but like
books always stay static in price.
I've never heard of somebody making their fortunes or getting by on books. It's usually something a lot faster. The thing about books is that you do have to wait people out. You do have to wait until that person dies. You have to do.
Yeah, I'm saying like
40 years.
Books aren't they're never gonna drop in price.
I would disagree. I think people are
the correct books are never gonna drop.
Are not reading as much.
They're not printing as much. Yeah, like again, like they print out a shit ton of first copies. So like everybody holds on to them because they think the same way you do. You know what I mean? Right. That's kind of where it is. You know what I mean? And again, like Ryoko, I understand you can have silver coins, motherfucking melted down and separated or whatever. But again, that's a process and it costs you a lot of money. Right. Like I used to have a dude who did smelting. You know what I mean? Like a local guy I know who did smelting and shit. And like it still is it's just not worth it in the end of the day. Like it's you know what I mean? It's like again, the price is $19 an ounce. Like fucking how much money is that really worth to you when you're talking about the fucking gas, the motherfucking smelted with, you know what I mean, the cost of fucking diesel fuel being fucking $6.50 a gallon and propane and natural gas going up in price here. Even if you use electricity, it's going up 30% right now. You know what I mean? Like none of this shit's goddamn worth it and shit. You know what I mean? Like I have silver, but like, my silver is not an investment. You know what I mean? It's literally like, if shit hits the fan, it's like, again, I have like fucking 200 pounds of rice. Why? Because just in case shit hits the fan, I have 200 pounds of rice. Well, you know what I mean? That's what that shit's for.
If everything was prepared for an emergency, it wouldn't be an emergency.
Absolutely.
But it's not an investment. You know, my ammunition is not an investment. I'm not planning on selling it. You know what I mean? It's not there for me to like go, I'm going to cash this out. That's not what it's about. Like I have 2 cars. My second car is literally like I had 3 cars, right? I just turned one in. Now I have a third car, and my second car, you know what I mean, that I had in the stash that's just been sitting and not being used for like 3 years is now going to be like a car I'm putting into the mix because just in case I needed it, you know what I mean? I fucking need it now. You know what I mean? Now it's being put into the mix. This is where that type of shit happens. You know what I mean? This is why you keep shit in the stash, but it's not an investment at the end of the day. You know what I mean? But anyway, right, fucking, where are we at? We were talking about fucking some shit. I forget.
I wanted to be
go ahead.
Spurg about it and go back to what I was trying to say originally.
No, you're good.
All right, that the problem that we're having with our system is deep capture. If you're familiar with the term.
I'm not, no.
I'm also not.
Deep capture is where the people who run the government regulatory agencies, like the SEC, is supposed to look over all the Wall Street firms. Well, the people who run that are from Wall Street.
Sure.
So an analogy would be if all the cops were the criminals. That's kind of where we're at. So it's a revolving door where people kind of go from the government regulatory bodies to seats in the House.
How long do you think we've been there, though? Because I
corporations.
feel like that's been around for a while.
Yeah, that happened in the 1940s and 50s.
Yeah. I knew of it happening since at least the 70s.
And that's the cathedral. You know, it's not like they're necessarily bonded by blood. That's the olden way, right? They're bonded now through mentality because they all come from the same. Well, cathedral. I'm sure you've heard Tom speak about the cathedral.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So therefore, you know, any kind of struggle you have with the system is still within the system. You're not really fighting anything. It's very specific. If you live in the U.S., it's very specific to make change. It has to do with getting ink on paper in a very specific way to change legislation. Everything else is just noise, and the noise is the distraction.
So how do you expect to, or what is like your plan if this were to happen, and we would retake the power and et cetera, et cetera? What do you think should happen to ensure that something like that doesn't happen again? Do you not think it's a genuine issue?
Well, no, it's really you're fucked. It's all fucked already. Like it's completely fucking chop suey. So that's where I was starting with is that men are adapting, right? So the idea of adaptation is you adapt in the direction you think is going to secure yourself and your future. So these city folk who are just inept, they adapt by thinking, you know, we're going to double down on the system. We're going to feminize our children, and we're going to eat soy, and we're going to grow tits, and we're going to give our children fucking hormones, and we're going to scale up these bug towers and live in a hive, and that's going to, you know, secure our future. Because
I mean, there was no other way to succeed.
Yeah, apparently that's the only way to go. Or you don't live in a fucking hive, and you're not a bug man, and you think kind of more independently. You're like, you know what? I need to get some resources just in case, you know, the way we do shit doesn't work out for the long term, because you know, it just all falls down somehow. Then you're prepared to survive. Like, because at the end of the day, all you really need to do is ingest enough nutrients to replicate your cells in your body. That's life, right? We take that for granted.
Well, again, this is why, like, I speak up. See, here's the problem, right? The problem is like you're thinking that the government needs to exist, right? I don't think the government needs to exist as a whole. Just as in general thing, like the government needs to disappear, right? Because like, yo, if we took over these agencies, what needs to happen is the agencies need to go away because they're fucking pretty much worthless in the end of the day.
What are you? So my question is, what would you reinstate to ensure that something like that doesn't sprout up again?
He didn't state on that.
Would you become a more authoritarian state? Would you allow for something like this to happen? I mean, just because it's written down, and we have proof of this multiple times. Just because, well, yeah, and that's what I'm saying. That's either you're either supposed to do that or go towards extreme authoritarian, because you cannot ensure that something like that is not going to happen again on a large scale, countrywide or nationwide plan.
I mean, I don't even like subscribing to the fact that like these agencies need to just be completely dismantled, because there's no way to regulate like certain things. Like previously said, child abuse. Who's going to regulate that? And you said there should be no regulation.
See, this is the direction I was trying to go with shit, right? Like,
okay, wait a minute. So here's the thing, Rambo. Okay, so in your neighborhood, right? If the cops don't show up, right? The guys live on blocks where like the cops didn't come. Like if you called them, they wouldn't even show up. And if a woman got her ass beat, what would happen is some dude would come outside and fuck that dude up. Right? Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And like, this is how this operates. When you're in a community where like you're all like part of that community, right? And like what's supposed to happen when a child's born inside of a community is like everybody in the community gets together and like goes, this is awesome. We're celebrating a new life coming into our family, right? Because that community is a family, right? And if somebody later on comes into that community, or if one of the community members gets married to that fucking new baby girl, right? You know what I mean? Like fucking She's 17, 18, whatever, gets married, right? And fucking like they get married to that baby girl, and that dude starts beating that woman. The community will get together and fuck that dude the fuck up. Mm-hmm. That's how these regulations work, right?
That's how they're supposed to work.
Yeah, and it does. It works that way.
That's not how it's not.
Or no, it only works that way. Like 100%. It only works. It only doesn't work because of the fact that we've allowed people to rely upon the government to handle these situations for us.
Look at New York City, where you have videos of subway riders allowing a crazy homeless guy to just manhandle a strange woman. Like 10 dudes just looking on. Why? Because they're afraid that if they get involved, they're the ones who are going to be taken away by the system's protectors, by the police. But the police are hamstringed in handling the criminal too, so crime goes wild. But in these communities, they police each other and they police themselves, right?
Yo, what was the fucking movie where guy was like, if you're going to beat on her, you got to fucking marry her type shit? Because once you marry her, we can't do shit about it.
Well, that's the Sopranos, right?
Yeah, that was
right. Again, like legitimately, if you whooped on somebody's wife, right? Like for instance, like you were in the mob and like you were married to like another mobster's fucking like daughter or sister or whatever it is, and you put hands on her, you know what I mean? And like she showed up to family dinner with a black eye, that dude was getting fucked up. Like it didn't matter what the rules were, that dude was getting fucked up, legitimately, right? Like, because everybody around me, all right, like real shit, everyone around me knows you don't lay hands on the females in my family because you deal with me. It has nothing to do with the cops, has nothing to do with jail, none of the bullshit. It's about me, all right? Because I will fuck you up for touching one of my family members. Because you're disrespecting me.
Yeah.
Rambo bounced for a second. I don't know where the fuck he went.
But yeah, I mean, it circles back to what Mountain was discussing earlier on with the New York City subway and the woman being groped by 10 different fucking guys. These people are not people. They're bugs. They're actual bugs. There a lot of people will say, "Oh, China, haha, look at all the bug people." Your large-scale cities with over 5,000 people, or even over 1,000 people, don't care about their own communities. They have no, I guess, discern for anyone or anything that isn't them, which is the problem with being an individualist.
Maybe I'd say down here. I'm down south, and
sure,
no, that shit wouldn't fly down here because we have a totally different culture.
Well, absolutely, but what I'm saying is that the communal aspect of maybe 1,000, 2,000 people population town is extremely important. We need to have more towns like that are extremely personable and extremely small and tight knit, right?
I mean, and so here's the other thing, right? So like I ran into a situation where I stole a sister wife, right? Mm-hmm. And I didn't mean to steal this sister wife. It happens sometimes though, you know what I mean? And like, she was at my crib chilling, and all of a sudden I have a whole family on my porch, right? And in having a whole family on my motherfucking porch, right? And like this dude's trying to drag me out of the motherfucking house and shit. I go get the gun. You know what I mean? I'm like, bro, we're going to handle this the way we got to handle this. There's like 8 of you. There's one of me. I ain't fighting all y'all motherfuckers. You know what I mean? But like, and I made it out of that situation because I was able to pull the hammer out and do what I had to do. But like, again, you know what I mean? Like, she's like, oh, she hit me up afterwards. She's like, oh, I still miss you, blah, blah, blah. But I'm like, I'm not fucking with you, right? Because like, I'm not dealing with your family. Right. And this is how these type of things work. Like if it was a situation where like I put hands on her and her family came up and tried whatever, you know what I mean? Right.
Tom, I think you scared my phone so bad it broke.
Rambo, shut up.
See where I'm going with
that shit just fucking crashed.
People are afraid of losing their own freedom for standing up for themselves or their family. Or even a stranger just out of decency. They're like, well, this is going to cost me my freedom. That's like a local culture problem.
But yeah, again, like when you have a community and you give a fuck about the members of that community, you handle what you have to handle. You know what I'm saying?
So do
Right
you
now,
believe child abuse will be dealt with in this tribal society?
and again, like what is child abuse?
I honestly don't have a
You
fucking
can't.
solid description.
If you see your neighbor fucking like tying a kid to a radiator, like yeah, you go and beat his ass. But like if they're just spanking him, then fuck, who cares?
Yeah, because like I'll be real, like you got to shake your kid's ass to the floor sometimes. You know, what I mean, this is what it is. Right, like again, like I had kids who, again, I'm fucking 6'1", 250 pounds. My kids are bigger than me. One of my son literally plays fucking, he's an fucking defensive lineman for a college right now, right? Yo, this is what I'm saying. Like we make big dudes, right? We're big boys. Yeah, imagine them at 13, 14 years old standing there going, I ain't got to listen to you. What I'm going to do? I'm going to fucking crack him. You know, I'm going to hit him in his ribs and I'm going to watch him fall on the fucking floor. Is that child abuse?
You can't tell me you haven't seen child abuse before those on. Or at least have an understanding of what it look like.
No, and that's the thing, right? Is again, like, so here's the thing. The worst child abuse I've ever seen, right? There was these two kids when I was a pup, right? Timmy and I forget his fucking brother's name, but I remember Timmy. But both of these kids were foster kids, right? And their parents used to lock them out of the house until they came home, right? Because they didn't trust them in the house by themselves. And like they were outside in the snow for like hours a day and shit. You know what I mean? Like I remotely consider that child abuse, but on the same point, again, we as a community, as like fucking other members of this fucking fam and shit, like we gave a fuck about them. And what we did is we helped them break into the house and ramshacked it. And like we stole everything in there, including the refrigerator, which I fucking carried on my back down the street. We broke it down and took it for scrap. You know what I'm saying? Like, again, these things get dealt with when you have a community. You know what I'm saying? Absolutely. Right? And like, if you're talking about like pedophilia, all that type of shit, like, yes, 100%. Like, that shit happens more now than
as long as you can give me examples on how these things are going to be regulated and not happen, I'm perfectly fine with what you got to say.
I need you to go read private chat real quick, please.
Right. And this is the thing, right? So like, again, like, if you're abusing your kids like sexually, you know what I mean? Like that shit happens now more than it ever did. Right. And especially like there's some psychological literature on this shit where like you have these what's known as separated families where like the male children will be separated from the females, where like the males will go with the dad and the females will go with the mom or whatever. And they, they end up, fucking not being around each other. And due to the fact they're not around each other, they don't build those bonds as brothers and sisters. Right. Mm-hmm. And like you're literally actually better having your kids like all kind of like sleep in the same room so they like end up not having that sexual tension between them, all that type of shit. Because like once they fucking end up being teenagers and there's no male in the house and or they end up coming back together, they end up whatever, they end up with these incestual fucking relationships and shit. The same with the dads who like don't get to see their kids on a regular basis. This type of shit, you know what I mean, as a whole, you know what I mean, is fucked up like for the entirety of the system. You know what I mean? And it happens more now than it ever did before. Keeping this a buck. You know what I mean? And like today, it's not dealt with because we don't have communities and families and people to deal with that type of shit. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Like, I guess the society that I live in, like, child abuse is damn near normalized. So I'm always going to sit here and be like, all right, nah, like, how the fuck are we going to regulate this? Because this is an issue.
Yo, a kid getting their ass kicked is not child abuse.
I recognize that.
Then what do you call child abuse?
Bro, like fucking people kicking their 8-year-olds out, like not letting them come back, all types of crazy shit. Just beating the fuck out of their kids for no reason.
That needs to happen. Like I was out of my house at like fucking 10.
I got kicked out a numerous amount of times too. That shit wasn't cool. Like man's drinking, like, doing drugs, not taking care of their
but the reason you're getting thrown out is because you're not like the problem is again, number one, you're taking away the parents' ability to discipline their kids, right? Like if I stand here and I tell you no and you go, I'm gonna do it anyway, and then I whoop your ass, I'm committing child abuse according to the system.
I don't consider that child abuse.
Yo, but it is though, in the end of the day. right? Because like again, these suburbanite parents, you know what I'm saying, what they do is they take their kids to a counselor and they drug them up so they don't do anything. You know what I mean?
Like I put neglect and abuse is the same thing. If you're not taking care of your child correctly, that's fucking abuse.
What is taking care of your child correctly?
I mean, parents who not even feeding their fucking kids type shit.
Well, again, define feeding your kids and shit.
It's common fucking sense, bro. Like if your child's not getting properly,
are they eating once a day?
Maybe.
I mean, if they're eating once a day, then they're getting fed.
You know damn well a kid needs to eat more than once a day.
No, they don't.
Yeah, I do not agree with that.
No, I mean, like legitimately, like real shit. Like as human beings, right? The idea that you eat 3 times a day, real shit, has only been in the past 100 years.
I was not aware of that.
Two times is a very natural and normal amount for kids to be eating.
Yeah. Well, two times can make sense.
No. Again, like literally, like yo, I'll be honest with you. You know what I'm saying? Like yo, I have kids. You know, I got a bunch of kids, or whatever. Right? My kids never eat a meal. Like almost never. Right? Like you make them a meal and they'll eat like 4 pieces of it, get down and motherfucking go play, right? And then like 10 minutes or like fucking 2 hours later, they'll be looking for a snack. You know what I mean? Like again though, like yo, kids don't eat that much. Right? And like yo, usually as human beings, we ate like once every 2 or 3 days. The same as every other animal in the fucking world.
Saying animals eat only once every 2 to 3 days.
Yes, that's the normal way animals eat.
Not really. There's a lot of animals, specifically during winter time. But during the summer, it kind of loosens up. But a lot of animals require 6 to 8 different catches if they're predatorial or not. Several different what are they called? They're like snow leopard things that it requires them to have 6 catches a day to be able to survive.
Let's go pull up how much chimps eat or some shit because they're the closest to us. Like how much do chimps eat?
Again, you know what I'm saying? Like, yo, chimps might not eat for 4 or 5 days at a shot. You know what I mean? Like, again, like, yo, this is the problem is that, like, yo, we're fat, overgrown motherfucking, like, animals that, like, yo, we don't require all this shit.
Chimps
like, if your kids...
Great comparison because we have big brains. They don't. They have more gut.
Yeah, and yeah, again, you know what I'm saying? They're way leaner than us as well. You know what I mean? So they require more motherfucking substance because they don't have a fat layer to live off of, right? Us as animals as a whole, like we're accustomed to eating like a whole bunch of shit at once, right? And we store up those calories. That's why like we have like, we're the only primate with the layer of fat in between our skin and our fucking muscle and shit, right? And so like we have the ability to stand here and store fat long term. That's why, like, again, like, if as long as your kid's eating like every day, you know what I mean? Like, you're fucking fine. You know what I mean? It's not child abuse. It's not neglect. Now, I understand, like, a lot of parents are lazy fucks, you know what I'm saying, who don't cook for their kids. But on that same level, let's keep this 100% honest. That kid later on is probably going to be in better shape than, like, motherfucking the kids who ate, you know what I mean, 4 meals a fucking day and had Doritos.
Yeah, absolutely. Without question.
Like, just keeping this 100% honest. You know what I mean? Like, yo, like, again, like, so, and this is the problem with, like, yo, you thinking about child abuse because you're 17, right? And so, like, you think everything's child abuse that, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you have to motherfucking go through, you watch people go through because, like, anything that, like, you don't go through and somebody else does, you might consider it child abuse. Right. But the truth is that, like, as a whole, as animals in general, like, yo, we strive on motherfucking, like, us being goddamn fucking put through the ringer and shit.
No, I mean, not even that. I feel like I'm pretty reasonable when it comes to like hardships. I could be like, nah, that's not fucking child abuse. You're perfectly fine. But I got homies and shit who like in elementary school fucking slept in a trailer that was cooking meth and shit with like 6 other people in a room and they didn't even have a mattress. That's fucking child abuse.
Yeah. I would agree.
Yo, look, man. All right. It's not child abuse. That's just how the fuck they live. And when they get older, they're going to be better men for it. And it's fucked up to think about it that way, but that's what it is. You know,
but
they're
they're
going to
not
be
better than
stronger.
I'm around these people.
They're going to be stronger for it at the end of the day. But the problem is we don't appreciate that strength. You know what I mean? Like, yo, I know dudes like that too. And them dudes today, you know what I'm saying, are fucking soldiers who can get through goddamn anything. It's just they don't have a place in our society.
I mean, a lot of these people that I see become like fucking like crippled human beings. I mean, like just as people, not like me, but fucking I'm physically crippled, but not. Like, you understand what I mean? They just can't function correctly.
I mean, understand something for the chat and shit, and for everybody who listens to this. Like, yo, I feed the shit out of my kids. You know what I mean? I'm an Italian, so like my kids eat like my kids eat like savages. You know what I mean? Like, yo, they are overfed motherfuckers.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? All my kids are fat, right? But like, yo, understand this. You know what I'm saying? As I said, like my kids, like yo, linebackers and like they're 6'2", they're giant monsters and shit. Like, yo, I fed the fuck out of my kids, and I still feed the shit out of my kids today. You know what I mean? The younger ones. But like again, like yo, hardships make you better as a whole. Right, and it's tragic that that's the case, but it's just reality.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
I don't know, man. I yes and no, right? So I'm gonna agree. Like, dude, being in a meth lab, that's some toxic vapors. That doesn't necessarily make you stronger. I can see that making you bitter. Like hardships, yes, should, as long as they're modulated, like regulated correctly. So someone coming out of an abusive situation could either be stronger or become a criminal type.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Right. So like for me,
well, what's criminal? Again, what's criminal?
Like, you know, fucking hurting other people for gain when they were just like
that's what they're supposed to do.
Yeah, kind of. But we're not really structured like that. We're supposed
Criminals
to have a little more.
Definition.
We're supposed to have a little more law and order. Like, yes, in the wild, in the woods, with no cities built on and predicated on shit that we're supposed to be taught. Fine, but that's not how shit is here. We're supposed to assimilate within the borders of this land different. So
again, yo, the past 100 years, the past 100 years does not dictate how human beings are supposed to be.
I think it's been longer than that. Civilization.
No, it's been 100 years we've been, you know what I'm saying, in this society. Before that, it was tribal goddamn Europe. Right? We're talking world wars. We're talking goddamn fucking like constant invasions and fucking problems. And you had use for these men. It just doesn't exist now at the moment. We don't have use for these fucking men anymore. Those men back in the day would have had women thrown at their fucking feet.
Yes, but at the same time, they would have been, they would have had a bounty on their heads from the ones that they transgressed upon. And now that's within the same.
Not really. In the end of the day, bro. Right? Like yo,
these are the mercs,
right? Yo, you would have used these dudes to go and conquer other dudes.
Right. And the people that they went to go and beat up on to get shit done for land A. So they're from land A. They go to land B and beat up on land B. Land B's got a bounty on them. Here's another thought, by the way.
But you're from land A, and this is the problem. Is that like again? It's only been 100 years. It's been 100 years since that's existed. Like yo, why are we pretending that like yo we're a whole different creature than we were 150 years ago? Like yo, we're not. Why? Why do we pretend that we as men have changed in 150 years, evolutionarily speaking?
Well, yeah, evolutionary. But I think it comes back to the theory of whatever era you're currently in subliminally affects how men or women act within that society. So if there is a very feminine, I guess, rewarded society, you're gonna have people act more feminine. I mean that because that only helps them.
Yo, hold up, yo, Halbert. Yep. Yo, man, motherfucking, our spirit animal is here.
What yeah. If you like this channel, like this, subscribe.
You gotta mute, son.
Yeah. Oh, my bad.
Yeah, that's the thing you guys dislike and describe.
Yeah.
All right, so
What's
check
up?
Hey,
Yo, what up? What up? You're
I'm
back.
Mr. Unknown. Met you
Yes,
recently.
hello,
Yo,
hello. Well, welcome
Mountain, I'm just
everyone.
saying,
Welcome.
like, these so-called criminals, they's just men without things to do.
I agreed.
kind of. I don't know. Like
Yo, he agrees. He fucking agrees.
I'll
Goddamn it.
take I'll go out on a limb and tell a personal story, right? So like my junkie mother, when I was 2 years old, decided that I was being too noisy and disrupting her peace, and thought it would be a good lesson to me to teach me to shut the fuck up by pouring boiling water on my arm. And I'm like 50 years old. I still got the scar on my arm, right? Now that's some trauma that maybe I would have used to become one of these angry guys that just commits crime and is like, yeah, well, fuck the world. It's not fair. So I'm just going to do what I got to do against you. It may not have been anything against you, but you got something I want. So I'm going to put a gun in your face and take it because, man. Or I go the other way with it and I say, well, I don't want that kind of shit done to me, so I'm not going to do it to others. I'm going to be respectful and believe in law and order.
Right.
Well, but that's again, like, yo, see, here's the thing, right? Like, you think like pain automatically like equals criminal, right? Equals aberration. Like that's kind of where your mentality.
I believe in respect. I believe that.
Well, like, yo, again, like, yo, when you live in a society where, like, you know, you have like a high trust type of thing where, like, you know, everybody has a place and they do all their shit or whatever it is, right? You raise hard men, you know what I'm saying? Because, like, yo, hard men make the society better as a general thing, right? You know, like, it used to be fuck. And yes, and like my man sat here and said, like, fucking 1920s, come on. Yo, legitimately in the 1920s, they had products where they, like, yo, they literally had cribs for babies that fit across your windowsill and you hung them out of your motherfucking windowsill on the side of a building.
Yep.
Right? Yo, understand something. Things have not changed that much. We as human beings, all right, have not changed that much. And people did this shit, right? Like, legitimately. And so, like, yo, when you're talking about men, right, we're not talking about just, you know, like, oh, you know, you poured like fucking, somebody poured like hot water on whatever, you know what I'm saying? Like, fucking nonsense, right? Like, yo, look, we as men, when we grow up in an environment that is dangerous as a whole to us, right? You know what I mean? Like, as boys, as children, we grew up in a situation where, like, you got to watch what you're doing all the time. It makes you more efficient as a man. It makes you more aware as a man. And as you get older, yes, you may not fit into the society. And this is kind of the problem, is you don't fit into a society where, like, you're mixed up with people who didn't have these fucking abilities when they were kids. Now, you can either turn that into being a guy who, you know what I mean, like, you're hyper vigilant, you're able to handle your business and you're paying attention and you're fucking better off, right? Which is what most of them tend to do. Right. Or you can end up being a goddamn criminal where, like, you just continue on the path in which you were motherfucking heading to begin with. You know what I mean? And that there, you know what I mean, is a choice that you have to make. And that depends on the male figures in your life at that point. Right. It's like that whole, have you ever seen Deep Cover with motherfucking Lawrence Fishburne, Mountain?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Fucking great movie. Lawrence Fishburne, Jeff Goldblum. And Lawrence Fishburne's dad was a crackhead who died robbing a liquor store, right? And Lawrence Fishburne ended up becoming a cop, right? And, like, as a cop, he was recruited to go deep cover and motherfucking go sell crack in LA and shit, right? He was a Washington motherfucking detective, or Baltimore detective. He was on the East Coast. Went out to the West Coast in LA. And he ended up finding himself becoming really good at selling coke, right? And really good at being a drug dealer. And this was highly sellable because of the fact of the backstory of his dad becoming a criminal, you know what I'm saying, and being this individual. And he had all these beautiful traits that allowed him to do so, right? This is the thing, is that, like, yo, when you find yourself in these situations, you either, you know what I'm saying, rebel against your motherfucking upbringing and become something different, or you use those traits, you know what I'm saying, make yourself successful, right? Or B, you stand here and end up continuing to be a fucking criminal and, you know what I'm saying, like, yo, end up, you know, having the hardness to be able to do what you have to do. But that depends on the role models that you have afterwards or during that time. And this is where you have to have a community and not just a father, not just a mother, not just a motherfucking, you know what I mean, like people in your household. You have to have a community of people around you to go, look, there's better ways. You know what I'm saying? And we don't have that anymore because we don't have communities as a whole. And that's why you end up with more of a criminal element and why guys like you are scared of people like me. In the end of the day, bro. I know you're not scared of me because we don't live near each other. You know what I'm saying? But like, yo, you're scared of individuals like me, right? Who like, I'll be honest with you.
I'm not scared of individuals like you that would do things to me because you're near. I am near, dude. I work with criminals, bro. I work in a level 3 institution. It's not that I'm scared. I'm scared of myself around. I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to be that guy. I don't want people around me that are going to make me be that guy. That's a high stress environment. The whole point of developing this kind of society so that we don't have to be high stress.
Yo, but you need the fucking stress.
I really don't.
You do. If you
I think this goes back to the way you were talking about raising kids, like that soft mentality of no, we got to be soft with the children. Yeah, that sucks. That makes soft people like. So, all right. What I really wanted to say was like the difference between abuse and structure with hard discipline is it isn't in the best interest of the child, or you're just being expedient.
Yeah.
You know, so if you're being rough with the kid to teach them a life lesson so that they don't get their ass handed to them or be disrespectful for no reason in the future, that's not abuse. If you're leaving the kid outside as a punishment for being an asshat so that they're not, you know, they don't come into the world. Being an asshole to strangers,
again, yo, fuck the punishment. You don't do it as a punishment. You do it to motherfucking harden them, is what I'm saying. You do it in the regular times. You put them in situations. All right. When somebody once told me, there's like a proverb or some shit, right? He said, like, when you pray to God for strength, he gives you fucking like abilities to be strong, or gives you situations to be strong, right? Sure. So, like, if you want a kid to be strong, you give him the ability to be strong. Sure. Like, my kid wanted to play football. Long before the first practice, Tom Pease had his fucking son outside doing push-ups in the rain and motherfucking like up downs and running in the 3-point stance. And then I built him into being made of wood before he showed up.
Yeah, I mean, we're not talking about structure, bro. Like, when I say abuse, I'm talking about people like getting drunk and punching their kid in the face because they're pissed off, and that kid had nothing to fucking do with it. That kid was just there, and they knew they could do it.
Yo, look. No one gets punched in the face unless they fucking deserve it. That doesn't happen. That does not happen. That does not happen.
That's a lie.
So doesn't happen.
I don't know, man. I don't think that's true.
Again, you don't literally like. Again, I have lived 39 years on this earth around drug dealers and criminals and fucking savages. In an Italian family, right, who were unfucking godly violent. I have never been punched in the face unless I deserved it. Ever. In my fucking life have I been punched in the face unless I fucking deserved it. My dad threw me out a window one time.
For doing what?
Yo, because I fucking stood there and tried to think I was bigger than him.
All right, that's fine.
Okay, so did Mountain, to use your very personal story, and I apologize that this had happened to you, but do you think it was justified that his mother poured boiling water on his arm? Do you think that's a justifiable thing to do when he's just being a little too loud?
That's actually a good point.
I mean, that's very.
I agree.
I agree.
Right.
Yeah, that ain't no lesson in hardness. That's fucking cruel.
Yeah, that's like what? Like if you're being a little too loud in like a conference.
Dude, what 2-year-old isn't loud? That's what 2-year-old. That was an impatient junkie that thought that, you know.
It's like if you're crying, like if your baby is crying, like shaken baby syndrome. If your 1.5, 36-month-old baby is crying, and your first instinct is to shake it until it stops crying, how is that not abusive?
Yeah, then you're a crazy motherfucker.
Yeah,
and so that goes back to your point.
Again, you should appreciate your children. Right. You know what I'm saying? This is kind of like, this gets back to like the whole idea of community and shit. Right. You know what I mean? And the whole idea that like your lives are valuable because of the fact that not because of the fact that they're lives, right? Because not all lives are valuable. Like look at Mr. Unknown. You know what I'm saying? Like he's literally just a mascot on Discord, right? But like, right? In the end of the day, but like, not all lives are valuable. Lives are valuable because they're part of you, right? And that's the important part. You know what I'm saying? They're part of something bigger. They're part of your community. They're part of your family. They're part of your heritage. They're part of your clan, right? And that's the reason why they're valuable. And that's why, like, you don't shake your baby till it stops crying. In the end of the day, you know what I mean? That's why, like, you don't pour scalding water on a fucking, like, I'll be honest with you, all right? If my mother had poured scalding water on my fucking child, I 100% promise you, I would have broke that bitch's fucking jaw. Like, there would have been no nonsense to that. You know what I mean? Like, just keeping this 100% honest with you. You harm one of my fucking children, I will execute you. Like, my mom would have been lucky to live out of that situation. And that's my mother. Now, I'm being 100% honest with you.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people don't give a fuck about their kids. Like, so serious. People do not give a fuck about their kids in a lot of instances.
Well, again, all right. So I was having a talk with Mike last night, right? And I'm going to bring his personal shit up, but like it's whatever, right? He was talking about his girls having a problem because, like, like fucking, she's a female in today's society, all the whatever bullshit, whatever, fuck all the nonsense, right? And like, he sat here and he told me that, like, he introduced religion into this like extremist religion, this Black Israelite ideology, and it corrected her. And the truth is that what he did was he gave her something bigger than her to care about. You know what I mean? And she became better, and she became better with the kids and the whole nine, right? And this is what I'm saying. So, like, when we talk about things like having a community, having a clan, having a family, having a fucking something that's bigger than you, right? That's what gives everybody around you the fucking, like, the structure, at least, to be able to stop all the nonsense. Like, you don't need CPS and child services and all these things to stop child abuse if your children are valuable to you and your community because they're part of something bigger than you.
You need the community to not be afraid of consequences of doing the right thing and stepping up and making it right. And that's what you're missing in these cities that are run by shithead liberals, where it's like going back to that.
Well, no, example. They have too many fucking people there. They're not going to care. They're not going to give a fuck.
I think
you're not.
They're
you
just
can't.
afraid.
Again.
They
you get
care
back
more
to
about
like
the consequences.
No. Again, like when you talk about this shit, right? You can only, as a human being, memorize 3,000 faces, right? You can only actually know 300 people, and in your inner circle, you can only actually really know 50 people.
Yep.
That's the extent of what you're capable of as an animal. So having 8 million people in New York, 8 million human beings in New York, you're not going to have value because nobody knows you.
I'm going to go ahead and disagree a little bit because it's an intimate circumstance. It's so out of the norm that it triggers you. Like, yeah, that woman's a perfect stranger, but she's right fucking there. And you know it's the right thing to defend her. But what goes through everybody's mind, the reason they're paralyzed is because their culture immediately is like, well, I'm going to endanger my own freedom for doing the right thing and helping this person because the way that shit is run. That same situation down where I live, that motherfucker would have been
no shit. Again, we get back to there's not 8 million people in a 20 square mile area.
Yeah.
You can't care about all those people. You can't. Physically, mentally, emotionally, you can't.
Well,
that's the problem.
Mountain, I agree with you that it is a fact, like out of the norm, but I think you're not looking at things further than they really are. Do you not think that because this is an 8 million population city, that these values of why would I endanger myself have been instilled on people? These are completely abnormal societies, and depending on where you live, I don't know if you're in a small town or a large city, or
I'm
somewhere
from
in
New
between?
York, so I'm very familiar.
You're from New York. Okay.
I get it. Like, all right, let me rephrase it. I guess I'm just projecting a little bit. I'd
No,
like
you're
to
good.
believe that there's at least a handful of dudes that were regular, well-adjusted guys just riding the subway to go to work, coming to or from work at the time of that incident. And there's been many like it. Dude, there's videos popping up from cell phone footage of just women getting stomped out in public in these subways and no one's stepping up to help, right?
Mhm.
Why is that? Is it because they just don't give a shit and they're like, whatever? Or they're bothered, but they're too afraid to act. One, because they don't want to endanger themselves with the wild person. Or two,
Maybe
they
they
feel
fucking
like I
deserve
could
it.
totally take that. Well, I mean, that's kind
Okay, all right. So let me tell you a story, Round. All right. Back in 2000, I'm gonna go with 2008. It was 2008 because that was when my younger son was born. Right. 2008. I was married and I had an apartment. Right. And upstairs from my apartment there was a couple who was wild, just wild people. You know what I mean? They were cool as fuck. My man made a lot of money. You know what I'm saying? I had a lot of cool shit, but like they were wild. It was Valentine's Day, and I took my wife out for dinner. You know what I'm saying? And motherfucker, we got back from dinner, and we're hanging out, and she's pregnant with my son at that time, and they're upstairs just going ham. He's kicking the door, fucking like they're squabbling, whatever, right? And she goes, "You're not getting any pussy unless you go up there and handle that." And I'm like, "Yo, you're a fucking cunt." So I go upstairs and I handle this, right? I go upstairs and I talk to this dude and I take him outside and like he even pushes me, he put hands on me, right? And like he's standing like with his back to like this row of concrete steps, right? And like I hug him because I'm like, bro, I hit you, it's all over with. I'm going to jail for involuntary manslaughter from you falling down these steps, right? And he's like, you're fucking my bitch too, right? Because like I've always been the dude I am today. You know what I mean? And like I take him for a walk, you know what I'm saying? Like we have a conversation. He's all drugged the fuck out of his mind. He's coked out and shit, right? And the next day, you know what I'm saying? They're outside holding hands, walking down the street with their kids, and she has a giant black eye.
Mm-hmm.
And from that day forward, I knew, right, that like no one really, like females as a whole choose who they choose. You know what I'm saying? And you can't change what they do. It's their decision as to what it is that they do. And even if they get their ass kicked and you stand up for them, it doesn't matter because tomorrow they're going to be back with that dude.
Yeah, they'll turn around and beat on you for getting involved.
Right. Yeah. Right. And so this is the mentality that everybody has now is that you made that decision to be with that piece of shit. You go deal with it. Right. And that's where it is that most individuals are. Right. So and that's where you get to when you have a giant, like in my area, I have 2 million people in my area. And like, yo, if somebody pops off and gets out of hand out in the sticks, of course you're going to stand up for a female. Right. But on the same level, you know what I mean? You're only going to take it to a certain level because of the fact that, like, you know that she's probably leaving with this guy in the end of the day.
All right, and I was even if she doesn't, where the lady's getting assaulted by an obvious stranger.
Yo, it doesn't matter. It literally doesn't matter. You're not going to get involved, right? Because you're around too many people. And when you get to a level of like, you get to this level where you expand past that 3,000, right? You get past the 300, you get past the 50 to 300 to 3,000, right? To where like, now it's like, yo, I don't give a fuck about nobody outside of my close circle of people. You stop caring at all. You're not even going to stand up for nobody. Like, yo, if you're not somebody who's I'll be honest with you, Mountain, all right? Like, there's a couple small individuals around here who I give a fuck about. You know what I'm saying? Like, these dudes I've been dealing with 6-7 years here on the internet. You know what I mean? Like, we're close. We're fam, right? But, like, outside of that, every dude that I know, I've known since I was 5. And that's it. Ain't no new motherfuckers added.
Yeah, I get you your day ones.
Right?
So I got a question. Do you think the dynamic was different back when... Because, you know, you were talking about, like, they choose to stay with this person. And say back 150 years ago, they didn't have the choice to stay with this person. To leave, like, they had to stay. Divorce was not.
Your dad, her dad chose that dude.
Yeah.
They were vetted. They courted, right? Yo, he went and he asked motherfuckers for her hand. That's like, you're asking for her hand in marriage. Yo, you never asked her, you asked her father. That's why the father walks her down the aisle and shit, right? You know what I'm saying? In the end of the day. Right? So, literally, your family vetted you. And so if you popped out of line, the brother would come through and fuck you up. If you were beating the shit out of your wife, right? And that was his sister. He had every right to come fuck you up.
I'm gonna give you real. I'm not sure he would.
No. No. Again, I'm an Italian. I'm telling you, dude. Anybody touches one of my fucking female family members, I will execute you. I have stopped traffic in 4 lanes of traffic, beating motherfuckers for putting their hands on my sister.
Ooh.
Like 100%. This is not no joke. I have broken men. They're deformed today because of what I did to them for putting their hands on my sister. My brother-in-law knows well. Yo, he came back from Poland, right? She brought him back from Poland. She went to Poland on the exchange program at fucking 17 or whatever. She come back 18, dropped out of high school pregnant. Bitch speaks 7 languages. Yo, that motherfucker came in the front door, rolled out the back. Whooping his ass. That's the mental sign.
But
that's how that shit gets handled.
Yo, Tom. Like, you're the same person who views women as property, and when they're married off, they're not your property.
No. That's my family. No matter what happens to my family, I will execute a motherfucker.
Does everyone have the same?
You should.
What they should and what they have is 2 different things.
Again, we get back to community, families, all this type of shit. If you married into a family in a town, right, and that family in that town had 50 members, right? There's 50 members of that family. That there by itself would hold you in line. Because you knew that you would end up having to deal with people who were going to motherfucking flatten you the fuck out. You know what I'm saying? They would clean you up, right? And your family would have to get involved. You stayed the fucking line out of fear, out of respect, and out of the fact that, you knew what the rules were. Now, if you had a problem with your female, right, and real shit, I've done this before. You have a problem with your female, you go to her father, you go to her mother, you tell him, you go to her brother. Yo, look, man, this bro's doing this, and this. Dude, man, it's costing me fucking bread. It's fucking up the kids, whatever it is, right? And they go, yo, look, man. I'm like, yo, look, I'm about to put hands on them. And they'll feel a way about it, right? But you let them know, hey, look, it's fucking everybody up. It's not just me. They'll stand behind you. And that's how things actually used to get worked out. You know what I mean?
And that actually created stability. That was what contained human nature. It was regulated on a local basis. And
so when
you put this power in the hands of strangers that are far away from you, you can see how shit gets fucked up. Because they don't know you and they don't give a shit. It still exists, but in cities, there's just too many fucking people, it's like...
Yo, there used to be a patriarch in the family, and you went to him, right? You know what I mean? Or matriarch, whatever the case was, if the dad was dead. You know what I'm saying? You go to him. And that's what I often did. Right? Like, yo, look, I'm having this problem with whatever, da-da-da-da-da. You know what I mean? And yo, I can't tolerate this shit. You know what I mean? Yo, shit's getting fucked up. I need you to deal with this or I'm going to deal with it. One of the two. And if they refuse to deal with it, then it was on you. You pull the fucking hammer out and you go handle what you got to handle. It's that simple. You know what I mean? And that's how shit got squared away. And in a small town, yo, you don't got to do it. Yo, bro, I'm going to tell you like this. I aired a crib out one time. Motherfucking yo, cleaning some shit up. Motherfuckers running out the windows.
I don't know what's on the time.
Man, listen, I'll be real. You know what I mean? It is what it is.
He yell at me about that shit all the time.
Like, yo, that's the mentality though, right? And that's how shit's supposed to operate. Like, yo, when motherfuckers refuse to act, when motherfuckers refuse to handle shit and do what's supposed to be done properly. You know what I mean? That's why, like, so, and here's the thing. What used to be most important, right, was the children and the parents, right? You know what I mean? Like, yo, so when a new couple got married, everybody in the town wanted them to be successful. Because like them being successful makes a new kid successful that they're having, you know what I mean? It makes everybody in the town better for having a successful new person in the family, in the community, right? And so everybody in the community stood here and put their fucking lot in with them. And they go, yo, look, this is what it's supposed to be. You know what I mean? Like, yo, y'all need to motherfucking stand here and work this out. Let's have a conversation. Let's talk about things. What do y'all need? Are you hurting? You know what I mean? Do you need some help? And the community would come through and go, here's some help. Right? And like, yo, they take that stress off your back because everybody believed in y'all. And that's how shit got worked out. And it doesn't work that way anymore because motherfuckers is like just straight, you know what I'm saying? Like on some, we're tied to federal money shit. So they're not even part of the community anymore.
Yeah, I don't think this idealism is possible.
It is. You just take away the federal money.
Right.
Mountain.
Yo.
What do you think?
Yo. Is it time to do we have time?
Man, we got all the time in the world, bro. I'm time piece. Okay, we got all the time we need.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of just skimming the surface of the real talk about where men are at today in their place in the household, right? So yeah, you're talking, if I'm reading you right, that the federal money is going to subsidize the state being the daddy and wedging the men away from their own children.
Well, like, yo, it's going away from like having the whole community as a whole not being tied, right? So like when you have a woman receiving money from the state or the federal government, right? You're having her receive the money from an institution that isn't tied to that community, right? So therefore, she's not tied to that community. So therefore, the whole family isn't tied to that community. So what the fuck do they give a fuck about it? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do understand, man.
He agrees.
Yeah, I agree.
So now that's the adaptation process, right? So in these stories, there's different roles of all the men, right? You're either the young man going for the woman, you're the father, or you're the brother in that instance, or the cousin, like the family member of said female, right? How are you going to act? Like, how do you be the right way in all of those situations at once?
Well, like, again, you know what I'm saying? Like, you respect the hierarchy.
Respectful. That's the word. Exactly.
Well, no, you respect the hierarchy, right? So, like, again, you trust your father, right? You know what I'm saying? And, like, you trust your uncle in the same way, right? You know what I mean? Like, the both of them are on that same level, right? And your father respects your brother. Your uncle respects your father, right? Because they were both raised by your grandfather, who everybody respects, right? Now, your grandfather's dead or like whatever it is, right? And like, yo, so your cousin's motherfucking wife is your cousin is married to a dude, right? And like a dude goes to your uncle and goes, yo, look, before he puts hands on her, before he excuse me, before he gets out of pocket, you know what I'm saying? He gets violent.
Yeah.
He goes to him, he goes, yo, look, I'm having a problem with your motherfucking daughter, right? Your daughter is standing here doing blase, whatever the fucking shit is, right? You know what I'm saying? She's fucking running the streets, doing whatever nonsense, you know what I'm saying? She's doing drugs, she's whatever it is, right? You know what I mean? And you go to him like, yo, look, I'm having a problem with this, you know what I mean? And like, yo, fucking, your uncle goes, well, like, I'm gonna have a conversation with her, you know what I'm saying? And we'll fucking take it from there. The uncle goes to his daughter, right? You know what I'm saying? The father goes to his daughter and goes, yo, look, your husband came to me, said like, yo, you're not listening, you're not doing what you're supposed to do, you're not handling your business, right? And motherfucking like, she goes, fuck you, whatever, I'm gonna do what the fuck I want, right? And then the uncle goes home. You know what I'm saying? And like he calls you. He's like, yo, listen, Tom Peach. I had a conversation with her. She's fucking being retarded. You know what I mean? Like, yo, here's what I think you should do. He's going to give advice. You know what I'm saying? He's going to, all right, here's the steps I need you to take. And then after that, it's on you. You know what I mean? And he goes, you need to throw that bitch the fuck out of the goddamn house and let her motherfucking starve. Right? And you know what I mean? Like, you go through all these processes, right? And she's still being a fucking asshole. She tries to come the fuck back home and tries to play the kids. You know what I'm saying? You conversate with the uncle, like, yo, this is what she's doing, da da da. Right? And then y'all decide a plan of attack. You know what I mean? Y'all try to conversate with her. And then once that don't work, now everybody's looking at this bitch like, yo, you're being fucking retarded. And like, yo, you get to the level, you go, all right, here's what it is. We're going to start hitting you with a stick until you stop doing whatever the fuck it is you're doing.
Right.
And that's how that shit works. You know what I mean? Because, like, again, it's not about y'all. It's about the kids and the family as a whole in the entire structure.
So let me just rephrase that in the way I understand it. It's about all the men being on the same page and understanding the role that each man has in that structure, right? Not being some soft-ass bitch or soft-ass man that's, like, just capitulating to the wants and needs of the women in the matriarchy and shit. Like, no, you need to... Like, their advice fucking sucks, man. Let's just face it. Right?
Well, yo, it's not about that. It's not about. And yo, again, all you're hearing is like negative, right? What I'm saying is you're all in the same fucking idea. You're hearing that, like, yo, again, what I'm saying is that we're all looking at the same goal, right? And the goal is a strong community, a strong family, a strong, you know what I mean, everything at the end of the day, right? You know what I'm saying? Right? And like, so their fucking goal is to have the family together with the mother taking care of the child, the husband, you know what I'm saying, feeding everybody and doing what has to be done. And I mean, everybody being able to come over to motherfucking dinner and shit and go like, yo, we're all in love and everything's cool. You know what I'm saying? And we're all on that level where we're tight. You know what I mean? Like, we're together and we're here to be strong together. So they're like, yo, if something bad happens, I can rely on you. You can rely on me and we're together. And we're about the same shit. That's what the fuck it is the end goal is, right? And the problem is that you have this broad who's fucking the whole shit up. And the way you handle this is, you know what I'm saying, is like, yo, you go through the proper channels to sit here and go, yo, look, this is what it is. You know what I mean? He goes like, yo, try this. It don't work. You know what I'm saying? It's like, yo, look, it didn't work. What the fuck you want me to do? He goes, all right, yo, look, it's on you. And then you go, all right, I'm going to do what I have to do. And you hit that bitch with a stick until she fucking listens.
Sure. And I'm not saying that's negative at all. I fucking agree 100%. What I was saying is that, you know, you go to the matriarchy and there's, we'll buy her flowers, make her happy. Happy wife, happy life bullshit. That always fails.
I agree.
That
right. Yeah, I'm saying, you know what I mean? Like, yo, again, but here's the thing, though. 100% your wife does need to be happy.
She does tell her to be happy.
No, like, yo, she has to be working towards something bigger than herself. In the end of the day.
Well,
you there, bro?
Yes.
Mountain.
Yo.
You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, she has to be working towards something bigger than her.
Well, that's the whole point of, you know, having a family.
Well, again, like, literally, it's not just the family. Like, I was talking recently in my Discord. We've been talking to this Kurdish Tiger guy, right?
Yeah.
I love it, right? You know what I'm saying? He about that life. But, like, ultimately, like, what he's looking at is he's going like, yo, look, I am a result of 1,000 years of people, like, sacrificing themselves for me to be here, right? And, like, she has to have that same mental. And y'all have to put her on that mental, is where it is. That's where that respect for the hierarchy of the patriarchy comes from.
Hey, once this topic wraps up, I'd like to go over fucking suicide because it's International Men's Day.
Right, you're right.
Yo, quit being a bitch. I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about suicide, motherfuckers. Quit being a bitch. You know what I mean? Like, yo, but like, yo, we can move on to suicide, my brother. The topic's pretty much wrapped up. Mountain ain't got nothing more to say. Like, yo, fucking take it, take it, Rambo. Tell me about suicide.
I don't know. I don't think I got too much profound to say. I want to hear everybody's opinion when it comes to it, because I feel like we all have a like, we are all well into the understanding that men are killing themselves way more than women and certain fucking like it said what it's the largest killer of dudes in between age like 24 and 35 or some shit.
Right.
It's just getting fucking serious.
Agreed.
And people aren't talking about it like
yo, man, I'll be real with you, and this is why like I advocate for the things that I do, right? Like I don't advocate for nonsense because like I'm an asshole, right? I advocate for this nonsense because like yo, if you fought for your life, you appreciate it, right? Like if you stand here and you struggle to survive and you struggle to stay alive, you're gonna appreciate your life way more than somebody, you know what I mean, who like had it easy forever. And if you had it easy forever and you had the rug pulled out from underneath of you, it's gonna affect you way more, right? Than it will somebody who's like, yo, man, listen, like this is normal. You know what I mean? I've been robbed many a times before. It is what it is. You know what I mean?
I don't know, man. I'm feeling like a lot of people, especially those who are struggling, are getting to the point where they're like, I just don't want to fucking struggle anymore. Like how shit this year was, I can't go through another year like this. I don't want to go through another year like this because this is fucking pain. And I'm not going to replicate this for the rest of my life.
Alrighty. Okay.
Well, like, so here's the thing, right? In the end of the day, what it is that, like, so you right now, Rambo, are the prime suspect for motherfucking, like, you know what I mean, the idea of motherfucking suicide, right?
Yeah.
17 years old, you have no idea what your life's gonna hold, you know what I mean? Like, yo, you're massively injured and handicapped, you know what I mean? Like, yo, you're all types of fucked up, you're going through all this trauma and nonsense and, you know what I mean, all the extra and like, yo. But the thing is that your whole life you've been struggling to survive, right? You know what I mean? Your whole life has been, you know what I mean, like you trying to make sure that you make it to tomorrow in the end of the day, right?
Pretty much.
Yeah, and like yo, that allows you to not kill yourself.
Right.
Nah.
That's what that is. I'm telling you.
Tom, I'm telling you, I'm here out of spite. The only reason I'm here is because I don't want people to make fun of me when I die.
Again, literally, the reason you're still here is because you're a goddamn warrior. In the end of the day, is because your whole life has been a battle. Your whole life has been trying to get through. Your whole life has been trying to motherfucking make a way. If you were a suburbanite white kid facing what you're facing right now, I would be worried about you. But I ain't worried about you at all. I know you're going to be good. Like 100%, I know you're going to be fine. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, yo, you're stronger than most people are. I had a buddy of mine, he was your age, right? I'm going to tell you like this. I just talked to him yesterday, right? Best friend. Known him since we were 4, played t-ball together. I got pictures of us as little kids. You know what I'm saying? And like this dude here was supposed to go to college. And he ended up getting in a car accident where he broke both his legs. A year later, this motherfucker was in the federal penitentiary doing 8 years on some nonsense, right? Because he threw everything the fuck away because, like, yo, he just felt like nothing was worth motherfucking doing anymore, right? Because, like, yo, he had both parents, had a good life, you know what I'm saying? Like, yo, everything was all right for him.
Stream.
Right? You, on the other hand, bro, like, yo, I mean, you might end up in the penitentiary, right? Because, like, you know, you're retarded, you know what I'm saying? But, like, you know, I'm going to keep this a buck. I am not concerned with you just, like, ending up hooked on heroin all fucked up and terrible and shit. You're just not the type. Because you are built like something. Because you have had a foundation of being built like something. Struggle makes you strong. Keep it in on.
I mean, it ain't got nothing to do with suicide, but you can give the fucking same argument that foundations will put me in a lot of shitty positions.
Shitty positions are what made you strong.
Bro, shitty positions is why I'm disabled to have no fucking societal skills.
Shitty positions made you strong. But you got unlucky. You know what I'm saying? Luck is a motherfucker. You know what I mean? The end of the day. Like, yo, being unlucky happens sometimes. You know what I mean? You end up in a bad spot. But I'll be real. You have every ability on the planet, right? To motherfucking make a way for yourself. And you're going to. I mean, like, yo, you legitimate. All right, here's the thing. If, say, like, I don't know, one of these soft ass white dudes got shot in their leg at 17, right? Their whole life would just be about getting shot in the leg. You know what I mean? Like, yo, they would be a transgender leg shot motherfucker. You know what I mean? Like, yo, they'd end up like cutting their motherfucking penis off and sewing their butthole shut. You know what I mean? Like, yo, they'd have like all the piercings and 75,000 tattoos, wearing makeup and shit on TikTok, telling people about their life story, and then they'd hang themselves. You know what I mean? You, on the other hand, are gonna be just fucking fine. And you're gonna keep being you. That's the difference, son. That's what strength and motherfucking hardship does for a man. In the end of the day. And you're gonna be a hell of a man when you get older. You're gonna be a man that other men look to for like advice and motherfucking like guidance and shit.
I'm already there. Whenever I'm not around, people catch cases. And I hate it. Like that shit fucks me up so bad.
Again. You are going to be the type of man, you know what I'm saying, that 1,000 years ago would have been a king. Keeping it 100% honest. Today, you don't have any value because they don't value men who have value. Mountain, you want to chime in on this?
Yeah, that's a fact. It's more or less kind of creating your own inner sanctum, right? You can't give yourself to a circle of people that are fucking, just usurpers. They just use and consume, and they're vapid, right? Because they're not going to appreciate the struggle. Like, they identify themselves, like their personality is their diagnosis. And that's just going to fuck your head up. And I think that's why people are offing themselves, is that they're trying to fit in. And they're a little bit more sane because they've had the struggle to kind of be on their feet. But everyone else who's had no struggle is just making shit up. Like, they don't really have hardships. It's all fucking make-believe. They're like cosplaying as people with trouble.
Yeah. I don't know. When I think about suicide, I always think about, like, the closest instance of suicide I had was, like, one of my closest homies killed himself, right? And, like, his life wasn't super hard, but it wasn't easy. And he had a lot of drug problems. And, like, it was COVID. We ain't talked in a while, and then just boom, he hung himself. I don't know what was happening. I don't know what was going on, but I can never ask now. And I feel like I need to make sure that nobody has to do that.
Well, look, if you feel like someone's thinking about that, you ask them direct. You'd be direct. You like, are you having thoughts of killing yourself? And you just put it right out there. You don't fucking dance around it.
I didn't even know.
I guess. And the other thing about drugs is that there are certain things in life that you need. And if you don't fill it naturally, it'll be filled artificially. And drugs is one of those things. And then I think the reason that leads to suicide is because it burns out your brain. Like,
nah. What it does is it numbs you out, right? You know what I mean? It numbs out all those, like, so it numbs out the pain, but it also numbs out you wanting to, like, motherfucking stand there and, like, survive.
Well, it overstimulates those neurons. Like, where naturally you might get some sense of peace and tranquility and satisfaction from just, like, sitting on the edge of the water and, like, catching a fish and just hearing the bugs and the birds and just the act of being out there, that stimulates the brain in a certain way. Like, certain neurons get activated and certain chemicals are released in a certain, like, volume. But when you do the drugs, it does that hyper, right?
Yeah, everybody has their vices. Like, I'm real happy I'm good.
Well, like, all right, let me say this, right? When I have a homie who wants to commit suicide, right? What I do is, is I go over, I give him a hug, and then I hit him with a 3-piece and a fucking biscuit with no napkin, right? You know what I mean? I just start beating the shit out that motherfucker. Because I'll be honest with you, it's hard for somebody to kill themselves when they're catching a motherfucking right across the jaw. You know what I mean? They don't have that ability anymore. You know what I mean? And then what you do is you have a conversation with them like, look here, you little bitch ass motherfucker. Like, yo, you ain't leaving yet. Quit being a pussy. And you motherfucking stand here, you know what I mean? You call him all types of names. And he toughens the fuck up. You know what I mean? You go on about your business. You know what I mean? And then they don't kill themselves. Right? The only motherfuckers who I have die are motherfuckers who end up overdosing and shit. Right? But that's because, you know what I'm saying, I live in the Appalachians and that's the number one killer of people in the Appalachians.
You could really consider overdosing as a way of killing yourself.
No, you can't. No, you can't.
It's
right?
a result
Because
of mental
nobody's
illness.
planning on doing it. Right? No one's planning on doing it. That's why there's no suicide note when you overdose. Stop being dumb. It's not a way of killing yourself.
It's a result of mental illness.
No, it's not. It's a way of motherfucking, it's them trying to numb their pain. That's what the fuck overdosing is.
Is that not what suicide is? The attempt to end pain?
No, it's not. Mm-hmm. Suicide is motherfucking standing here feeling like there's no goddamn hope anymore, motherfucking giving up. Right? That's what suicide is. Right? It's an ending to motherfucking like, yo, you standing here struggling. Right? And them thinking that there's not any more tomorrow. But you gotta understand there is tomorrow. Right? And then you hit a motherfucker with a 3-piece and a biscuit. You know what I mean? You come in like a goddamn lion. You know what I mean? Pull a chair out, start motherfucking like smashing shit and fucking things up. And you show them that life is worth it. You know what I mean? And you hug them and you tell them that's your brother. You know what I mean? You motherfucking tell that motherfucker, like, look here, we got things to do. Get your gear, we're gonna go rob a bank. You know what I mean? Because we got money to make.
I don't know. I feel like everybody had their vices, and I feel like drugs is real fucked up. That's why, like, I get weird around people who do drugs. Like, that shit makes, like, just pisses me off real bad. But my vice,
there was rules. There's always been rules in the hood, right? There's rules in the hood, especially the guys who are drug dealers and hustlers, right? The rules are you can't be a fag, right? You can't be a snitch, and you can't be a fiend. Those are the 3 rules.
Yeah, gangs really have some weird thing against homosexuality.
Yo, because like that's a stain you can't get off of you. You know what I'm saying?
It's written.
Yeah, I feel you. Right, that's what I'm saying. Those are the 3 rules. The rules are no fagginess, no motherfucking, you know what I mean, no motherfucking like snitching, and no motherfucking doing drugs. Right? Yeah. You can't be a fiend. That's like I've watched like I'm not gonna say that.
Yeah.
I know people who have gotten killed for doing drugs. You know what I mean, as drug dealers. You know what I mean? Like
doing drugs as a drug dealer is kind of acceptable these days. Like most people selling perks have a perk addiction and sell perks just to fucking fund them popping perks.
Nah. I'm talking about like the big homies did what they had to do.
Bro, even the big homies are popping beans, drinking.
No, the big homies find out the little homies is doing drugs. You know what I mean? Like the big homies who put motherfuckers out here on the streets. You know what I mean? Putting that work in their hand.
I'm telling you.
And they find out. Again, I'm not. Oh my God. When the big homies find out the little dudes is doing drugs, they'll execute them. That's what I'm saying. Right? Because like, you are now a liability. You know what I mean? And that's what all that shit's about. It's about being a liability, right? So like, when the big homie is standing here, motherfucking, like, they see a little homie and he's doing the shit that you're giving him to sell, you become a liability and you might end up getting X'd out. It's not about what the big homie does. They don't care about hypocritism. You know what I mean? Like, hypocritical bullshit is normal. All right? Like, everybody's a hypocrite.
I'll follow you.
You know what I mean? That's what it is, right? Like, the big homie's probably a cokehead and he's selling coke.
Yeah.
But on the same point, like the big homie's moving like bricks, right? The little homie's moving grams. And that motherfucking little homie's moving them grams, doing grams, and he comes up short.
Yeah.
That might give you leverage over him, but on the same point, that also gives you the point of where like you're gonna come down to a confrontation with him and he's gonna run to the law and motherfucking snitch your ass the fuck out.
Yeah, you gotta do something.
That's the mental. But look, it's been 2 hours, so I'm gonna end this motherfucking stream, Look, I want to thank everybody for coming out, Mountain, motherfucking Rambizzle, motherfucking Harbell, motherfucking Harold, goddamn fucking Capitalism, and of course our mascot, Mr. Unknown.
Can I say the rest of the stuff?
Man, listen, say what you want. Go ahead, man. Do your thing.
Okay, guys. Thank you guys. Thank you, stream, for watching here today, and appreciate it to be here today, and all the streamers who's watching around the world. And even our PD politics debate channel, he's watching right now. Thank you for watching. Thank you for Tom. Tom, thank you for being here today. And I love you guys. And Tom will take over this.
Alright, man, y'all know the deal. Motherfucking like, yo, it is what it is, yo. I'm Tom Pease, motherfucking Pino News. You know the deal, motherfucking like, share, and subscribe out this bitch. Hit that subscription button for be the bitch. I'll holler at y'all motherfuckers later. Peace for like one. I'm the fuck up out of here. Later.